where brevity is paramount.
Hello, and welcome to episode 19 of Chet and John's reassuringly finite gaming playlist. My name's John Denton. With me, as always, is Chet Roivas.
What's happening?
So if you've not heard the podcast before, first off, what the hell you been doing? Second off, it's two top 10 lists, the games Chet and I have been playing this week. Starting at 10 each, that's the game we played the least. And number one being the game we played the most. It could be previews or reviews, but it's always stuff we've played. And because Chet and I are fortunate enough to work in the games industry, there'll be a bunch of stuff that's not out yet, interesting stuff. Enough whittering from me. Let's kick off with Chet's number 10.
Okay, my number 10 is Donkey Kong Jr. on the 3DS by way of the NES. It's one of those freebies that everyone got given at Christmas if they adopted early. Yeah, not a lot to say. It's still great. I think it's actually the first game I ever played. I don't think I'd ever played a video game before.
Which one is it?
It's on the NES. It's the one when you're basically a little Donkey Kong in a t-shirt, and it's exactly the same as the original, just really immeasurably simpler. So it's actually really easy. It's 4 screens, and then you go through them repeatedly, and scores go up, gets progressively higher.
Oh yeah, I know it.
I mean, it's a hell of a lot easier than Donkey Kong, but it's fun. Yeah, still fun. What can you say?
Yeah, what's that program called? Ambassador program.
Yeah, you had that, right?
Yeah, I've got all that shit. Yeah, some good presents. Not as good as £100, but some good presents.
Donkey Kong Jr. No, exactly. But Donkey Kong Jr. is surprisingly good fun even in this day and age. But I'm biased because it's the first game I ever played. So.
I wonder what the first game I ever played was.
Do you not remember?
I'm trying to think now. I haven't thought about it. Let me think. I might come up with it later.
Nice.
My number 10, his game was a bit harsh on last week. I listened back and I thought I was a bit harsh on Euro Soccer last week. It's actually much better than I made out. I was a little bit fatigued by the iOS games that I played recently just because there's not been much big stuff out recently, so I've been filling the list and filling my gaming time with iOS stuff. But Euro Soccer, it's from the guys that made Score Classic Goals, which is wicked, and it's just using their engine for a FIFA clone. You know, it's still... Why would you play a football game on your phone when you can play it on a console? But maybe you can't play it on a console. So, yeah, you can string together nice passing moves and the production values are really, really good and it's £1.50. So, yeah, I was a little harsh on it last week. I just wanted to kind of, give it a fair shake of the stick. Is that a thing that people say? I don't know.
The engine, I mean, the Score Classic Goals doesn't look anything like a FIFA game at all. So they've implemented They've used the same engine. It doesn't look like it's top down.
Yeah, but it's not top down. It's a 3D engine. Score Classic Goals.
Okay, to be fair, I've only looked over someone's shoulder for all of about 2 seconds while they were playing it, but I thought it was like a top down. I might be thinking of something else. I could have sworn.
You thinking of New Star Soccer?
No, I'm not. No, definitely not.
It looks like. I mean, Score Classic Goals, the camera moves because the way you interact with it is completely different. This is just that engine, I assume. It looks exactly the same, just put into a FIFA camera and played with more traditional footy controls. But yeah, it is good. I was a little harsh on it last week, so...
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Okay, my number 9 is Sega and Sonic All-Stars Racing. Is that what it's called?
Sonic and Sega? Sega and Sonic? Who cares?
All-Stars? Whatever the fuck. The Mario Kart clone on the iPhone. It's free at the moment. How long for? I don't know. But if you've got an iPhone, just get it. It's free. It is the 40 quid Xbox PS3 game from last year, or was it 2010? I think.
Fuck
on a
knows.
phone.
I remember playing it though.
I really liked it. It was modelled itself on Mario Kart 64, and I thought it was actually really, really. I played that loads when it came out. I mean, the online was fucked, but the campaign and the little mini games and stuff were great. But it is that entire game on a phone. It's hugely impressive. It looks as good. There's an online. I played an online game. You can only control it using the gyroscope, so it's not. That's a little bit irritating. But
yeah,
man, it's impressive. It's that entire package on a phone, and it's free at the moment. So yeah,
that's right. I remember playing that with you and other people when that came out. It was pretty good fun.
Yeah, it was. Although there was a few problems with the online, but yeah, it is that. As I said, it's what was once a £40 game. All of that content, all the extra stuff. Yeah, impressed. But if you've played it already, you might not be so keen on going back.
Yeah, not bad for free though.
No way.
Yeah, Sumo Digital. It's Sumo, isn't it? I went up there many years ago, up to Sheffield. They're good, very good.
They play. That's a good game. It's still if you ever see it on Xbox or PS3 for like £2, buy it.
Cool. Right, my number 9 is a little iPhone game called Split. Now, I've not really had a chance to play very much of it yet, but it's quite an interesting little thing. You're basically two little guys trying to escape from prison, although it says you're escaping from prison, but you're basically just murdering people. But it seems to be like a kind of top-down version. Do you remember that game Full Spectrum Warrior, where you didn't actually control it? Yeah. Kind of like that sort of deal. And you can control your two little men independently by dragging them, and then they'll run to the spot that you do your little cursor. It's a top-down job. Kind of looks a bit like Alien Breed back in the day. And the whole idea of the game is to kind of draw enemies fire with one guy and then flank them with the other guy, and then you just come up with little strategies. And like I say, I've only played a very, very brief amount. But it seems cool. I'm going to play some more and talk about it next week, I think. But it's one of those games that's definitely suited to the format. I like that. I don't like it when you feel like you're playing a compromised version of a console game. I'd rather something that had been designed from the ground up for touchscreens. And Split looks all right.
Free?
It was free to me because I've been, given a code, as it were. But I don't know how much it costs. I'll check.
Is it out yet?
Yeah.
All right. Split. Okay. My number 8 is New Star Soccer on the iPhone.
Right. Sweet.
My opinion went from this is amazing for the first 10-15 minutes to realising that I started to get fed up with the fact that I just kept getting paid $1, and $1's not enough to buy the energy drinks that you need. And
that changes so quickly.
Yeah, but that's what happened. Is basically the last 20 minutes of the trial, I couldn't. I had things I had to do, and I couldn't do them because I was just like, I've got to keep playing this game. And then it said, if you want to keep playing, pay the 69p or whatever. And it is a fantastic game. It really is. But I don't have any idea whether I want to get sucked into something that already I've seen could compel me to put off shit that I have to do. It's an incredibly impressive game. Is it one guy that made it?
Yeah. I mean, I'll talk. It's later in my list. I'll talk about it in a bit more detail later. But yeah, he's been making this brand New Star Soccer games on the PC for years. I played 2, I think, back on the PC, which is all about controlling one guy, but they were more like sensible soccer. But he's just really hit the motherlode with this one.
I can't believe how compelling it is to look at a screen of just text scrolling up.
And then do a little arrow game and press a ball.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I got a new... I've changed teams on my one and been transferred a couple of times, and I earn about 9 stars a game now. So you can... I'm balling, basically. I've got a suit, I've got a necklace, I've got a girlfriend.
Yeah, see, I started to make more money from scoring goals and doing assists as it got to the end of the trial. So I started thinking, oh right, fuck, I'll go to the casino, I'll gamble with that, and I'll buy the drink, all that stuff. It just started to take hold as I stopped. But whether I'll continue, I don't know, because it really did have me by the fucking throat for about 20 minutes.
He's done an update where he's put in corners and crossing now, so that's going to be a whole new element to the game. And he says he's going to do an update where there's going to be like a whole horse racing mode where you can buy a horse like footballers tend to do when they get rich and gamble and all that sort of stuff. So
is he charging for these updates?
I think he might charge for that one, but he's not charged for the corners and crosses one. That's just a free update.
Well, good luck to him. It really is very, very good.
It's great fun for such a simple thing.
Yeah.
So what was that? Your number 8?
Yes.
My number 8 is Batters. I played a bit of Batters this week. I'm sure it's later on in your list. A bit more close quarters. My opinion's not really changed. Really fun. If anyone wants to read my full opinion, it's on Video Gamer. I reviewed it for them. Really fun, but I think what you need to do is put those games into rotation with proper big Battlefield rather than just playing that. Because
you can't do that.
You can't do that?
No, because you can, but it will limit the people that jump in when you're playing Rush to the same amount of people. So it's a skeleton crew, and it's that's. I can understand the problems in that not being the case, because it would just, the numbers would keep fluctuating, and every time it went back to close quarters, it would just cull a load of people. So that's the benefit of having your own server, which I'll talk about later on. But
it's Battlefield doing COD, isn't it? We said it last week,
yeah.
and a very good approximation of COD.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's it. Yeah, I only played a few games.
Okay. I'll get to batters. I'll only speak briefly, but yeah, that's later on my list. My number 7 is Farmyard Simulator on the Nintendo 3DS.
Is that like Farmville?
No, you know those simulator games like Bus Driver.
Oh fuck, yeah.
Farmyard Simulator, yeah. I mean, they sell those games, not in like massive numbers, but they do all right. And I saw it on the 3DS Marketplace, download the demo. I thought, fuck it, I'll do it. I'll play it for 2 seconds, talk about how shit it is, and it'll be number 10 on the podcast. But I ended up playing it 3 times. That's not because it's good, it's because I don't know whether the team behind these games have ever made a demo before, but on this evidence, I don't think they have, because nothing's explained to you. It's just a confusing nightmare. I mean, I turned it off twice, convinced that I knew that the game was at fault rather than myself, but I gave it a third attempt. You start off and you're in a tractor. All I'll say is that it's like you collect all. What the fuck are those things called? Rotatey bladey. What the fuck are they called? Combine harvester.
Combine harvester.
You drive a combine harvester around a load of corn, and then you drive next to this thing and dump the corn off. And then it says, if you drive over to another field where everything's all spoiled and looking rubbish, it says cultivate the crops before they die. And you're like, what? How? And you just drive around. I'm just driving around this fucking place in circles. Basically, it's a terrible demo. I mean, those games, I don't understand what the appeal of them anyway is, but this doesn't explain it. It doesn't help you understand what the game is, and I don't think it's going to help them to sell any extra copies other than the people who are going to buy it anyway. The most interesting thing about it is that there's a button. One of the most prominent buttons you can press is for it to go on autopilot and do everything itself. So you just sit there watching this tractor.
That's fucking weird.
It's like, what?
Did you read that article on Eurogamer with the guy? The guys in charge of all those games.
No, I don't think I did.
It's really good. Yeah, it came out a few weeks ago, either just before E3 or around E3, something like that. Yeah, they interviewed him and talked about it and pitched some ideas. And it's a good piece. Everyone should read it.
Oh, I might check that out. Yeah, but this is just it's a mystifying game. But even so, the demo doesn't tell you what to do. So it's swerve it.
Yeah, no, you don't need to tell me twice. So, talking of slicing people up with rotating blades, my number 6 is Manhunt on PS2.
Oh, wow.
For, going back 9 years. I'm going to be doing a little article about it. But so I've been back to it, and it's weird to play a game that old because, 2 things really. One, the controls. It doesn't have... You know how every game now you use the right stick and you strafe with the left stick, move the camera with the right stick, move forward. It's just like a standardized control system now, basically.
Yeah.
Manhunt doesn't control like that. If you want to strafe, you have to hold the trigger button, and then like that allows you to strafe. So just simple movement through the world is so complicated. I don't remember it being a problem at the time, but that's because there were all different ways of controlling games back then, which there really aren't anymore. So that was like a real barrier at first to get my head around. And then I was still really impressed by the tone of it. It's still fucking grubby as hell. You can see through the cracks these days because visually it's, stylistically really good, but there's only so good a 9-year-old PS2 game can look these days.
Yeah, but it was always meant to look like a grubby old VHS video anyway.
Yeah, it does, but it just in terms of not in terms of the detail necessarily, just in terms of like you can see how the levels are put together like levels, whereas these days things tend to look a little more organic. You can just see the joins and the angles of tunnels and corridors and courtyards. But the tone and the mood is still one of the nastiest games I've ever played, and the sort of really dirty, almost aggressive synth soundtrack is not dissimilar to what some of the Max Payne 3 music's like. It's really ahead of its time in that way. Less so the violence, though, strangely. The tone is horrible and the mood is horrible, but the violence is just... It's nowhere near as nasty as it seemed back in 2003. I tell you that. And you watch those press conferences that happened recently. Sorry, the E3 press conferences where it's just fucking 100 guys getting their throats slashed, and Manhunt just looks like that. Whereas at the time, I remember it really turning my stomach. It's still nasty to watch a guy get his fucking life choked out of him in a plastic bag. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah, and then knifed in the side.
Yeah, but it's nowhere near as nasty as it used to be, which is more of an indictment of everything else that's happened rather than the game itself.
Yeah. Damn, I loved that game so much.
Me too.
I want to play it again, but yeah. How long did it take you to get over the issues with the controls?
10 minutes. I'm pretty... Because I play inverted, generally, sometimes you can't play inverted, right?
Yeah. Whether
it be you're at a rush at a press event or the game doesn't support it or whatever. So I've accepted the fact that sometimes I've just got to accept I'm going to be cumbersome with controlling games. And, so I just got my head around it. Thankfully, early on, you don't really... It's quite a slow game. There's not a lot to do in the first 20, 30 minutes. So, it's not like you're dumped into a beach landing or anything like that.
Yeah.
Not huge problems, but if it was ever remade for anything, you'd want them to just tighten up the controls to modern standards.
Well, I hope they do that, because I'm itching to play that game again. Did you play Manhunt 2?
No, I didn't, because of the whole thing with it not being released and all that sort of stuff that happened.
It was rubbish. I don't know how they screwed it up that much. It was just...
It really seemed to... I did play it briefly. I played a preview of it, and it seemed to miss the point of what Manhunt achieved. It seemed to really revel in its violence and nastiness in a way that, whereas Manhunt was kind of more of a sideways look at that stuff, I thought.
It wasn't Rockstar, was it, the sequel?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, it wasn't Rockstar North, though.
Oh, right.
It was a different team.
Okay. Okay. I really want to play that game again. Right, my number 6 is Steel Battalion Heavy Armour on the Xbox 360.
Piss apples.
It's such a shame. I really thought after doing the demo that they were going to absolutely nail it, and they've nailed nothing. They've nailed absolutely nothing. Oh my god, it's just painful. And I mean, I can understand why people have been giving it 1s and 2s out of 10, because it is just like it doesn't work. There's so much that I like about it, though. That's what's annoying. I like the fact that they've made it look like a World War II game rather than like a futuristic thing, and all your equipment's all knackered and stuff. And I like when you're actually in combat. There's a lot of the pleasure of nailing a long distance sniper shot in Battlefield and judging the trajectory of the bullet. Doing that on like the beachfront landing at the beginning of the game is really, really satisfying. And it's nice the way you can't quite see anything. You feel really oppressed, and you feel like you're in that bloody thing.
Yeah, you definitely do.
And it's just the chaos is really well maintained. You kind of, you don't know what's going on, but you kind of do, and you can find your way around it. And it's such a shame that I have no doubt that there'll probably be a Connect 2 someday, and whatever the equivalent of a marketplace is there'll be a remake of this on there, and it will be great. But for now, it's a real fucking shame, because it just doesn't work. I mean, when I finally put it down, because I persevered longer than I think most people did. I played it for 2-3 hours, and when I put the pad down and said I'm doing it, the sequence of events preceding that was pure slapstick. I had to reach for something on the side, a lever to what do you call it? Get the smoke out of the cockpit.
Yeah, little ventilation thing.
That's right. So I grabbed it, and it grabbed the wrong thing, and I went no. Yeah. And then I slapped the screen to get away from it, flicked the switch, it flicked the cover for the ejection seat. I was like, no, and I slapped it again, boom, pressed the ejection seat, out, dead. Unbelievable. And all the whole time I was like, no. I must have sounded like the world's worst parent, like some kid was doing something to us. Like, no,
I was going to say, that sounds like me talking to my kid.
Yeah, I was just like progressively louder, screaming no. But after that, I just said, okay, that's like... I'm done. I'm not. That was just a joke. That's how unresponsive it is. And it would be fine if it wasn't asking you to do everything with precision. Sarge, we're going to die unless you press this thing at this exact moment. Okay. If you had a load of buttons like the old Steel Battalion controller, that's fine. You can press a button. But when you're fucking around with the Kinect, when you've got a bit of time and you can, as you do in the beginning and the tutorial, it works okay, but it's hard in a game that it would still be too difficult if you had buttons in front of you, I reckon.
Yeah, I mean, it's properly hard, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a real shame, because if that game worked, man, I reckon it could be fucking great. And one day, someone will make it work, whether some enterprising young kid makes it work with the old Steel Battalion Xbox controller or whatever. One day, sure, now, don't hate yourself. It's fucking painful.
Yeah. Yeah, I played the preview version. I haven't played the final version, but I think it was the final version. So I was quite forgiving on, the Kinect problems, just because
I didn't encounter on the demo. I didn't really encounter that many. It seemed to work, but then again, like I said at the beginning, it kind of gives you a little bit of time to acclimatise. Whereas later on, it's just like bombards you with shit. I mean, you die in like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So yeah, bollocks.
Yeah. 1 out of 10 is harsh, I still think.
That is harsh. I mean, but it is so frustrating.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating, but you have to give it props for all the other shit it does right.
Yeah. I think when I played the preview version at Capcom, I did, after a couple of hours, start to get the hang of the controls, and I wasn't struggling that much. But bear in mind, I had the Capcom PR next to me who was doing a great job of explaining things, and the guy that made the game next to me doing a good job of explaining. So if you need the people that make the game to sit next to you to be able to play it, then you've got problems.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a real shame. One day I reckon it could be great, but at this point, hell no.
I'd quite happily play it if they patched it just to be on the controller, and when you went back into the cockpit, you could just cycle through. With the D-pad, cycle through all the different things. You could play it like that.
Yeah, I mean, if they'll ever patch
That'd be a fun game.
Yeah, if they'll ever do that, well, of course they won't.
They won't.
Are they going to sell any when people are being as harsh as they are on it? I don't know.
I don't think so. Well, the problem is it's been in development for 3 years, and when I was chatting to them, they were there from day one with Project Natal, and they were saying the Project Natal that they were shown when they started development on this game was not the thing that ended up being Kinect. This was the thing that had individual. You could see your fingers. It was the thing that we were promised in those first videos that ended up not being the thing, which is fine for us. They didn't pretend that it was that when they eventually sold it, so no complaints there. But kind of sucks for a team that spent 3 years developing tech that no longer exists.
Yeah, one day that device that will exist, I've no doubt, but. Here it's just like banging your head against the wall. It's really disappointing, and it's a shame, a real shame.
But on the flip side to that, once they found out that it wasn't going to work on the tech that they had, they should have canned the game and not tried to sell it.
Yeah, true. That's
so, two sides and all that bollocks. Yeah. All right, my number 5 is a game that definitely does work and it works flawlessly.
Number 6.
No, number 5.
That was my number 6.
Oh, yeah, I've done my numbers all wrong.
All
right, so, yeah, my number 6 was actually my number 7, but now it's my number 6. Shit. Deal with it. It's Spec Ops: The Line.
Oh, wow.
Got the final version. It is embargoed till next week. I'm not going to do the thing. I don't know what the whole fucking deal is with embargoes. If I haven't signed anything, I'm certainly not going to give away my final opinions, but out of politeness and respect and all that sort of stuff. But I think the fact you can say that you played it, I don't think that hurts anybody.
What baffles me is when there's embargo dates that are different across the pond. So you've got all these reviews dropping online, and you can't. If you've written a review over here, you can't publish it.
Yeah,
that's sense.
Terrible. Yeah. That sort of harks back to when all this sort of stuff was worked around lead times with print magazines, and then there was that real teething period where people suddenly realised that you can't have US dates and UK dates and Europe dates online because everything's accessible, and anyone who's still dealing with that is causing themselves trouble. But like I say, it's still a nice shooter. I'm not going to give away too many opinions. I'm just excited to play the rest of it. I did quite a bunch on the preview version that I had. I'm basically up to where I was. If people don't know, it's kind of Gears style third-person shooter, but you play as real soldiers being dropped into Dubai, and then things go to shit, and it's very much kind of an Apocalypse Now, Heart of Darkness type deal. And eventually your soldier's mind starts to fracture. All this stuff's been in plenty of pre-release coverage, be it previews or their own coverage that they sent out. So final opinions will be next week, as will be a review that I'm writing. But I'm just excited to get back to it. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to playing that again. I loved what I've played so far. I've only done the opening hour, but I was really into it.
It's a cool game.
It is. My number 5 is Sine Mora.
Oh, you got back to it. I'm going to call it Sine Mora.
Sine Mora, yeah. On the 360. I still don't know where I am with it. As I think I mentioned to you, when it first got announced with that trailer, Grasshopper are doing a side-scrolling shooter. I didn't sleep that night. I was so excited for it. And because it's not the game that it was advertised to be, that's why it's taken me this long to get back to it. And I still don't know what I think about it. I'm going to continue to play it, but that whole dynamic of the slowdown dynamic, it's so hard. That's not really. After a while, you can swap that out with other abilities, and it only lasts. If you were to drain the entire bar, it lasts 10 seconds.
Right.
So you drain it in 10 seconds, and then you have to go through. It's really, I mean, it's ridiculously difficult, and I don't know whether it works in the context of what it is. It's weird. I haven't got a handle on what it is, and it's as bullet hellish as any cave shooter, but you haven't got any sort of points of in all cave shooters. There are certain areas of your ship that you know bullets can pass through without killing you, and it's like knife edge. Here, there's nothing like that. Any part of your ship gets hit, you're dead, and I'm finding it really difficult. And as well designed as some of it is, I don't know whether I like it yet. I'm going to keep playing it, but it's just I sit there 1 minute, I'm like, wow, that's great, and then I'm just thinking, is this bad design? Have they made this too difficult? And they haven't really, because the cave games are immaculately designed. You can totally see how every single one of them can be completed without being hit once. This, I'm not so sure. There's bits where I'm like, okay, that's asking a bit too much of even people who play. Well, I mean, I play shmups fuckloads. So, but yeah, I'm going to keep playing it, and I'll. It's still bedding in, really. I don't know what I think, but I will do eventually.
Intriguing. It was one I was intrigued by, and I enjoyed the trial when I played it. But my knowledge of this genre, as I said before, is nowhere near, a fan.
Yeah, I don't think
a shmup guy.
See, that's what I don't know whether it needs to be, or whether this is aimed for people who don't play shooters. Because for me, maybe it's just because it's too different, and I need to. Yeah, I'll play it some more, and I'll figure it out.
For real. So by my real number 5, we are on number 5, right?
That was my number 5.
Sweet. My real number 5 is Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown, which I'm still really enjoying dipping into, having a few games online, getting my ass handed to me. Kind of wish I had it on Xbox, but can't complain when you didn't have to pay. So it's free on PlayStation Plus if you've signed up to PlayStation Plus. I think it's 1,200 points on Xbox. It's the best 3D fighter, in my opinion, ever made. And it's just a masterful piece of work from people who are very, very, very good at what they do.
Interesting. I still need to download the trial for that.
You really do.
I take it you don't know what's in the trial. You don't know whether it's a good indication of what's in the final.
I don't. Do you know what? I should download the trial on Xbox myself just to see. Yeah. Just to see what it is, because I don't have a stick for PS3, so I'm not really fighting to my best of my potential on PS3, but I do have a stick on Xbox. So I do want to play it on Xbox, but it's hard to justify paying out for a game you've already got, isn't it?
Yeah. That's like when I wanted to play Joe Danger on the Xbox, I was like, I can't because I've already got it on the PS3. And I'm the same. Any excuse to get the tournament edition Mad Catz stick out, done. So I'll get it out and try it.
I really think that if you got into it and set a couple of hours aside and just played it, especially played it with someone who's learning at the same time, you would love it, because it is just, there's no reason not to. It's better than most fighting games.
Yeah, but whenever I play fighting games, I'm like, I could be doing this, or I could be playing Street Fighter, which I know is one of the greatest of all time. Why wouldn't I be playing Street Fighter 4?
Well, yes, that's fair, but this offers a different style of fighting game.
Okay, I'm going to try the trial. I do want to see what it's like.
Yeah, it's the only one where I'm not thinking like that myself. Yeah. Whereas that is a trouble that I had with the recent Soul Caliburs and Tekken.
Yeah.
But since Street Fighter 4's come out, I'm exactly the same as you. It's like, well, I could be doing that. I think that's just going to be more fun and give me that same rush that I'm getting from enjoying this. Well, whereas back in the day, I used to spread my fighting game time a lot more evenly over lots of different things.
So did I. But the only game, I mean, Soul Calibur 4 or 5 was it? Which one came out this year?
5's the recent one, yeah.
I thought that was a fantastic package. I loved it, but after a while, you're like, as good as it is, I want to play Street Fighter.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll try.
This is better than that.
Okay, I'm going to try the trial. I will definitely do that.
Yeah.
Okay, my number 4 is Lego Batman 2 on the PlayStation 3.
I'm hearing this is pretty good.
It's really good. I'm interested. I don't know whether they've gone too far with it though, because it feels like it's a halfway point. I assume you saw that kind of what was basically Grand Theft Auto Lego on the Wii U.
The Wii U one, yeah.
Yeah, this is kind of like it's making steps towards that. So it's a sandbox. It is actually a sandbox open world, and objectives. There's clear paths to your objective. There's little blue sort of see-through. What's the currency called? Those bloody things, those little bolts you pick up.
Yeah.
They have a name.
Yeah.
Begins
with an S.
Studs.
Yeah, I'm going to say studs.
Yeah, and so
we did it.
It's there's a clear route to your objective all the time, but it feels like a step towards the hardcore. It's not as straightforward as the other ones were. But having said that, it's fantastic. I'm loving it, and I thought they might suffer. Traveller's Tales going from having only ever made games with no dialogue to having dialogue, but it really works. It's genuinely funny, and because they've always worked silently, so to speak, they've mastered comic timing. They have a real gift for comic timing. So while some of the dialogue is actually funny, it's the pauses. It's really, I mean, and I love what they've done with Superman, and I'm so glad DC let them do it because he's the biggest dick in the world.
Really,
just
that
just
makes me smile.
A buffoon, an arrogant dickhead, and his relationship with Batman. I mean, him, Batman, and Robin. Robin thinks Superman's God. Superman's just an arrogant twat, and Batman has got no time for Superman, and just that relationship is just funny.
That sounds good.
It really is, and brought to life with these comic pauses that just had me cracking up. And it's so underrated, a gift for comic timing, and they've got it in the
I mean, they've had it since day one, really, with the first Lego Star Wars. Which some of their games I found a bit boring, not really to the detriment. You know what I mean? Just. I always felt like I should be playing them with like my 6-year-old nephew or something, but I don't have a 6-year-old nephew.
Exactly, but that's how that's how they're meant to be played.
Exactly.
But as I said, this is a little. I'm interested to see if this is going to. I mean, I think Lego Batman was the biggest selling Lego game.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see if this is going to be sort of even bigger than that,
I think it's going to be a monster with the movie coming out as well. I know that's not aimed at the same audience, but every kid's gonna want to watch.
Yeah, you're probably
Batman.
Right. And it's very lavish as well. I mean, it looks it's technically very, very good, and it looks lovely, and it's big. It's a big sandbox. It's fucking impressed. I just want to see whether people take to the sandbox thing, because it's not something that people who play those games are accustomed to. And it's actually a really interesting mix of a million different. So it's got the sort of upbeat nature of the 1960s TV program. It's got the Danny Elfman music from the Tim Burton films. A lot of the voice actors are from the cartoons, and actually in a couple of the action sequences. There's one action sequence in particular. It kind of looks like the truck chase in the Dark Knight. Just the way the shots are framed and stuff, it's like a massive mixture of all things Batman, and then all of the bloody characters that come in.
Sweet, they've done so well that studio, man.
Really,
just a little studio up in Cheshire.
Yeah, but this is their most ambitious project, and I hope it does well, because it does deserve to.
That GTA one looked good as well. Was it a Lego Undercover or something like that?
I can't. That was. I thought that looked absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it did.
But I suppose what they do with that depends on how this goes.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I would imagine so, indeed. Right, slightly less lavish, but probably no less impressive, is a game that we talked about already, New Star Soccer.
Oh, yeah.
It's my crack. It really is my crack. I can't get off it. What you're scared about it doing for you, it has done for me completely. I can sit there and play it for 2.5 hours, longer than I play most, proper games for. Dangerous. Everyone should play it. They've updated with crosses and corners now. Stupidly simple to look at. Dangerously addictive. The guy's probably a genius. I love it.
Yeah, it is. It is great. I wonder. The fact that I'm still amazed by the fact that just that rolling text of what's going on in the game is actually compelling to look at.
Well, that's been compelling since the old Championship Manager games and through Football Manager.
Yeah, I never found that. I mean, I played some of those, but I never really got gripped by it.
It's like the fact that when it stops and suddenly it's you and the pressure's on, and if you fuck up, you're gonna the fans are gonna hate you, the boss is gonna hate you, but if you do well, it makes you feel amazing.
Yeah.
I'm transferred to some jerk-off Italian team in the 3rd division, and in my 2nd season we got promoted. I was the star player of the league. It was great. It was great times.
Yeah, I don't know whether I don't think I need something like that in my life.
It's dangerous, mate. It's fucking dangerous.
Yeah, I admire it, but wow. I mean, that's like towards the end of the trial when I scored an amazing goal. I was like, bah! I was just like, I was so glad that they put a foot in and said pay. I'm like, 69p for this, absolutely nothing. if it's worth every penny and then some. But I don't need something that can stop me from eating for like way too long.
I was playing it on the train, and you get that feeling when you score an important goal. You are like, fucking yes!
Yeah.
And I was on a train, I just kept going like this, because you can't... and the guy next to me must have thought I was pretty special.
Psycho,
but,
yeah.
But then again, he should be playing it himself.
Yeah.
Fuck him.
It's very special. Whether I managed to resist the urge to get the full version or not, I don't know, but I think I probably will swerve it.
That'll do it.
No, I don't need that.
I'm just trying to enable you.
Oh, okay, don't. Okay, my number 3 is Heroes of Ruin on the Nintendo 3DS.
You love Heroes of Ruin.
I do love Heroes of Ruin, yeah, I really do. My girlfriend picked it up and we've been doing it on co-op, and it's really, really fun. What I said last week about it looking like an N64 game, what I meant by that primarily was, aside from the sort of nondescript backgrounds, all of the characters have those kind of bulbous, misshapen heads that don't really look like heads. Like, even in GoldenEye, they had those kind of like a hacked up diamond. They're all flat, a series of flat sort of hexagonal surfaces on top of like it looks like that. Be interested to know whether that was maybe someone missed games that look like that, but primarily I think it was done to strip it down so that it worked online. It gets a little bit more colourful later on. I said it looked like shit, sort of dark brown and sort of boring dungeons, but later on it does sort of open up a lot. It gets a lot more interesting visually, and there's these weekly challenges. Every week they refresh these extra missions. I'm like, it's good. It's such a forward-thinking game for a Nintendo 3DS game. I really, really rate it.
Yeah, I've not heard a bad thing said about it, to be honest, ever since you mentioned it last week, and then you stuck that little clip online, didn't you? We do the YouTube clip sometimes, and there's quite a debate on that in the comments.
That's right.
And now people seem to be excited about it. I'm intrigued by it. I haven't played like a loot-based dungeon crawler for a long, long time, and I didn't used to like them, but if so many people love that style of game, there must be something in it. So I am very intrigued by it. I do want to check it out.
That's not my genre either. I don't naturally gravitate towards those sort of games at all, which makes it, for me, all the more impressive that I'm as gripped by it as I am and continue to be so. And yeah, me and my girlfriend are doing it on co-op, and it's just pure fun. There's not a lot more I can say.
Well, 3DS games tend to have longer legs than big console games, don't they? So hopefully it'll pick up a bit of a cult audience.
It should do. I mean, they've gone so soft on the launch. It's amazing that no one knows it exists. But hopefully it picks up. It definitely deserves to.
Yeah, cool. Right, my number 3 is also on the 3DS. Excuse me. It is Mario 3D Land. What's it called? Mario Land 3D.
Mario 3D Land.
Fucking Mario.
Yeah.
I played it when it came out and did like the first 7 worlds, and then put it down for some reason, and haven't picked it up since this week. And yeah, it's amazing. I'm on the 8th world now. I hear there's a bunch more stuff after you finish it.
Yes.
I like to play maybe 3 levels at a time and then stop. Don't know why, just because I do know why. It's because I've had a love-hate relationship with Mario that I've had since I was very young. And I don't mean that I ever hate his games. I love his games dearly, but I hate him. And I don't even hate the character. It's difficult to describe, but I will say things to him that are worse than I say to anybody. I hate him, and I have to curb my own language now with the child in the house of what that little fucker does to me. But if I hang around with him too long, then we end up falling out, and I worry for the safety of my 3DS. So, yeah.
How can I don't understand that. How can you?
It's me. Mario? I just get. It's not him, but he's so chipper, and he keeps fucking me over, and. But it's not him, it's me fucking myself over, so I'm really just angry at myself. But he's like, when I'm angry at myself, I don't want to see some chipper little fucking happy, awesome character looking back at me. It makes it worse. It doubles my pain. So, yeah, ever since I've like fucking broken N64 controllers on Mario 64, don't even talk to me about Sunshine.
Sunshine could get a little bit frustrating.
The what was that awesome bit towards the end of Mario World? Star Road, or was it Star Road? Where they all had names like Tubular and Groovy. Fuck me.
No.
That was. I remember coming downstairs when I was about 10 years old. Fucking Boo Ghost. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever. I mean, I've got fucked off at the Mario game, but Mario is never. He's never the object of my hatred ever.
I can still remember my being like that. I didn't swear, I was just a kid, and my mum looked at me as I was coming down the stairs and she said, "Oh, it's true what they say then, video games do make you violent." That was the worst thing she ever said.
Mario 3D Land was a real worry for me because normally Mario games take forever to turn around, and that one was like they announced the 3DS, they pretty soon after announced that, if not at launch, and then when they announced it, and then it was out, pretty quickly, and yet it doesn't feel rushed in the slightest. There's so much content, all of it's great. Whether I don't know how they're going to keep that standard up. There's already a sequel, and I don't know. Oh, sorry, it's not 3D Land, is it?
No, they're doing the 2D sequel. They're a different team, aren't they? They're doing the 2D.
Yeah, and it's yeah. So it's but still,
this is the Galaxy team, isn't it?
And but despite that, they did churn it out quite fast, and I was worried, but there was no reason to be because it's superb.
Yes, yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to the end and doing all the secrets. I'll be playing it for a little while, if Mario and I don't fall out.
Genuine. Okay, right, my number 2, I assume it's your number 2 or your number 1, Lollipop Chainsaw.
It's my number 1, yeah, let's do it.
It's fantastic. How far through are you?
So I am, I've done 3 levels, second proper level, finished. I beat the Viking drummer.
Okay, I mean, I've completed it, so I'll try and avoid spoilers. I'm trying to think which bit. Have you done the bit with the mushrooms?
No.
Okay. This is really hard. Yeah, for want of a better description, it is a really, really simplified. It's basically No More Heroes 3. A lot of the same systems are still in place, and it's the combat's kind of similar, but it's also simplified, and the streamlining of the narrative by James Gunn makes it's whether Suda 51 will ever make a game that's as accessible as this again, I have no idea, because it is completely accessible. I love his games. His games, just when I was like a kid and I was in love with films, I always used to think, why has no one just gone completely out of the box? And why didn't Francis Ford Coppola finish Apocalypse Now with like a dance routine or something? And reminds me why I love his games because it does shit like that all the time.
Yeah.
Like, the mushroom sequence you haven't got to, it's completely random, it doesn't belong there, but it fits within the context of a Suda 51 game. And that's all of his games. They should be disjointed, they shouldn't work. All of these just explosion of ideas should make it feel, oh, that bit, I didn't like that bit, I didn't like it. But it doesn't, it just feels coherent. I thought it was a blast.
Yeah, I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. There's been all sorts of talk online about sexism and misogyny, and I'll get to that in a little minute, but ultimately I'm exactly the same thing as you. I have a very silly sense of humour, and Suda 51 taps into that with James Gunn as well, who seems like he has a very similar sense of humour to me. They've just tapped into that perfectly, and I've laughed out loud, and I've played half the game so many times.
Yeah, me too.
Just crap gags, like quite often bad gags that make me crack up, clever stuff that makes me crack up, bizarre ideas.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's as good so far as Shadows of the Damned. It doesn't matter. I'm so enamoured by it, and the musical stuff, everything about it just is so far up my street.
Yeah, same.
That I already knew it was going to be, but it's even more so. And like you say, I do think it's his most streamlined game. I'd love it if they had a ton more budget and they made the exact same game but somehow stripped out the loading times like Max Payne 3, so it was just relentless, because it feels like someone wrote that it feels like the ultimate sugar high, and that's a great description. It feels like you just smashed 3 energy drinks and it's all fucking happening in front of you the whole time. Just I love it.
I love it too.
On the other tip, quickly, I think the word misogyny is a dangerous word to throw around. There's an obvious argument about sexism and objectification in the game. Whether or not it's even worth talking about, I'm not sure, but that word misogyny is getting thrown around a lot, and that's a much, much stronger and a very dangerous word. And to call Suda 51 a misogynist is, fuck off, basically. Yeah. He's so clearly not misogynist, and you just have to look back through his work to see why. And Lollipop Chainsaw is so obviously not a sexist piece of work as well, that it's not even subtle how unsexist it is. The subtext isn't exactly difficult to dig out.
But even despite that, just in terms of the content, as far as I'm concerned, it made Carry On Camping look like fucking Basic Instinct. It's so affable and tame, and Yeah, that's a funny discussion that's going on. I don't quite understand it myself, but yeah, I think it's my least favourite game of his. I think it's nowhere near. I mean, the pinnacle for me is it's a toss up between Killer 7 and No More Heroes 2. No More Heroes 2, which is just, if you're not partaking in a completely random, a side mission, a completely, you're not playing the game. It's a it's a completely indescribable. Just a potpourri of fucking...
I need to get No More Heroes 2.
You do.
I need to get it.
People need to play that.
Yeah, I gave up on one, or a boss that I just couldn't do.
The boss on the beach?
Yeah, I just couldn't do it. I died like 20 times in a row and I was just like, fuck this, I can't hack it.
I was just going to say, in every Suda game I've played, there's one bit where initially I think, I can't believe something this broken and badly designed's in the game. There was that beach boss who I persevered with, and now if you put me in front of it, I could do it first time. Right. In Shadows of the Damned, it was the taste my big boner bit where you're firing that gun at those massive giants, and I was just like, at first, it's impossible. And here, it's that bit on the baseball field when you first control... Oh my God,
I've just got past that. That took me about 12 goes.
It was just like, what? How can it be this? And then you get to grips with it and you understand it, and it's like, okay.
Yeah.
But it's once you get to grips with them, but there's still those barriers that he's not really afraid to put in, because you've no doubt that he could make them immediately accessible, but part of the process is sort of getting to grips with how it works. It's a great game.
Yeah, and I was pleased to see it charted well, and I'd imagine it didn't cost anywhere near as much as most big games do to make.
Yeah,
so
they've gone quite heavy on marketing though. So
they have, yeah. But that's not Grasshopper, is it? Really, that's Warner.
Warner,
so,
yeah. Hopefully they. Yeah, if it means that they're going to make another game, God, I can't wait.
Yeah, that's it. With a team like Grasshopper and a guy like Suda, I think there's just this constant fear that eventually it's all going to go wrong and he's going to have to stop, because I don't know how he's managed to keep doing it so far. Yeah, it seems like it's only about 4 people who buy his games.
Yeah.
But turns out if you don't spend vast amounts of money on your games and you create an audience for yourself, you can sustain yourself, I assume. I don't know his financials, but he keeps going.
Well, I hope he continues.
Yes.
Incidentally, on the subject of humour, there are actually some really genuinely funny comic conceits in it. Just ideas that would be celebrated in another medium and are completely ignored here. Like when I reviewed it, I mentioned the main character's got this little sister, and she finds everything simultaneously hilarious and terrifying.
Yeah.
So she's always just like, I mean, it's just a joke, but and it recurs like 2 or 3 times. But it's just a funny idea, and they don't milk it, they don't overdo it. And I also like the fact that the QTEs don't kill you; they just knock off a bit of health. So it's not an excuse to. I don't know whether that's been done before, but works really well. Yeah, I mean, I think it's fantastic. I really do.
And got a shout out for the performance for Nick. The head.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Deadpan performance.
Yeah. Oh man!
Every time she gets a new thing that is going to involve him doing something horrendous, he's just like, what? And then it cuts immediately. It's just that's just beautiful.
Did you see that? Have you got to the bit where she says, "Cheer up, do a cheerleader song for yourself"?
No.
It's just, I mean, it's completely guttural humour, but it's funny.
Even the animation where you stick his head on a blue zombie, and then after you complete him, he's just waving his hands. Just fucking cracks me up. It's just my sense of humour all day.
Yeah, I loved it. I'm going to go through it. I finished it. I'm going to go through it again.
Yeah, I'm on a Suda tip now. I say stuff like this and then run out of time and never actually manage to do it. But I definitely want to play No More Heroes 2. I'd like to finish 1. I want to do Shadows again. I'd like to do Killer 7 again.
So would I. The second that comes out, as a download.
I'm sure they will. Now they announced the Kami today, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
But that actually sold, didn't it? Actually, no, it didn't, did it?
No, it bombed. It bombed hard.
So did Killer 7, though?
Yeah.
Oh,
but
God.
Yeah. Why not try and get a few more bucks out of it? But
yeah, you know what? I might try and pick up the GameCube version on eBay and get a GameCube.
Well, it's like the Wii, doesn't it?
That's what I mean. Yeah, compatible with the Wii. That's a good excuse to get that. I'll do that. But yeah, Lollipop Chainsaw, it's fantastic. Get it?
Yes. So how does this work now? That was your 2 and my 1.
Well, what's your number 2?
A game called Home.
Oh, go ahead.
It's a
not PlayStation Home.
No, fuck no. It's an indie game, a 2D pixel art horror, basically. It costs $1.99 in dollars. So what's that? £1.50 or something? $1.40? Fuck all.
Yeah.
It lasts about an hour and is. It looks initially very similar to a game that I talked about before called Lone Survivor, which was the 2D pixel art survival horror game, which is very, very good. but it's actually a lot more accessible. It's not. Lone Survivor is a very hard game. The emphasis is on survival. This is more along the lines of this side of game where it's not really a game. You just kind of walk through it and a story happens. It's kind of like that, but there are gameplay elements. You wake up, you're this guy, and you wake up in a funny house. You don't know where you are. You don't know why there are. And within 30 seconds, you found a dead body. And then the rest of the game is you're trying to get home, and the story's unraveling itself, and you're trying to work out what happened. And with the central conceit, it's like, basically, did I do this or did someone else do this? What's really, really clever about it is what you do in the game actually shapes the story. And what I mean by that, like objects that you interact with, choices that you make, actually shape the entire story. Not just like you'll go down one path or another path like most games. It will actually shape the entire plot. It's really hard to explain. It's much easier to explain once someone plays it. And the idea is that you play it and then you dive onto the website homehorror/what happened, and there's all these really nicely written testimonials from people who played it and what they thought happened and their opinions on the game. It's not perfect. There are a couple of little proofing errors in the text, which is a bit of a shame. And the gameplay is at times it does straddle the line of game/experience a bit too much. I like gameplay to have systems as well. If that's important for a video game. You've got to have systems and reasons to interact with the world, like you do in Journey. It has great little systems while you're moving through the story, or whatever you'd call Journey. But yeah, for the price and for the amount of time it takes, I'd recommend everyone check it out. Home, really cool.
Where do you find it?
Just go to homehorror.com and you can download it for fuck all. It's just no money at all.
How did you hear about it?
I was asked to review it for a magazine.
Okay.
But I had actually heard about it before. I'm kind of keeping my ear to the ground on this sort of stuff these days because there's a lot of interesting things going on in this space, and some of it falls flat, and this one definitely didn't. And I just like the fact that after 7 years in the industry, it's so nice just to be able to go straight to creators sometimes and just not have to deal with the whole marketing industry cycle. That stuff's fine too, and I love big budget games, but sometimes it's nice to have that other avenue to go down. But yeah, Home Horror, it doesn't take longer than an hour, and I guarantee, John Denton guarantee, that you won't be disappointed in that hour that you spent, whatever you thought of the game.
It's not like it's on the browser, right?
No, you download it, but it works on PC or Mac. It's not memory intensive at all. It's fucking looks like an 8-bit game.
Okay. Okay, right. My number one is Battlefield 3. Kelsey
of course it is.
Yes, exactly. Not much to add. I still love it. I always will. But I've just bought my own server for a month, and the pleasure of owning your own server, it really is something. My initial fears were back. I did a trial run. I bought one for a day a little while ago and started a game, and there was 5 of us, and there was 5 of us for about an hour and a half.
Right.
So I thought, imagine if you're a kid who's got no friends that plays Battlefield, and you just buy a server because you want to own a server. The ball will never start rolling. You'll never get people in so that people keep joining, and so they've changed that. We've been starting games with just 2 of us, and within 5 minutes we got a full room. And it's just cool. It's so nice to be playing close quarters, and then we all say, what should we do? Should I change it up? I jump out of the menus, I change everything to rush, and then it just changes. It boots everyone out, but then we're in the server again. And it's great owning a server. I've only had to ban one person, but it's nice to know that when you get somebody who's just appalling. I mean, this guy was ranked 99 and he just sat at our spawn with a helicopter. Not a single person could get out. So that's an isolated incident. But yeah, it's.
What's the server name if people want to join and play?
I don't know. I've put a fake dice thing on there.
Oh, right.
I haven't called it anything specific because the ones that people join naturally. Actually, you know what? I might change the name of it and call it something with a name, because now that people actually join without you having to pressure them into doing it, maybe I'll do that. But yeah, what can I say? It's Battlefield, and owning a server is great. Although, we probably shouldn't have to do it.
Yes.
Although the pleasures of owning one are starting to outnumber that. Maybe I'm a dick. 2,000 Microsoft points.
Is that not a bit like Stockholm Syndrome coming through, though?
Maybe it is. And 2,000 points is not small potatoes for a month of a server that you shouldn't have to pay for. But
yes,
knowing that you can choose the maps, knowing that if you run into a complete scumbag that you can boot them out, that's kind of it really is a pleasure.
Do you remember on Halo when you could do all that stuff for free?
No, you couldn't.
join make a private match and then people come in? No, what a lie.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
a fucking lie.
Yeah.
Do you know why I said that? I've got a picture of Master Chief on my desktop, and I've been I've been brainwashed by the chief.
Yeah.
So yeah, apologies to all involved.
Okay, right, that's us done for another week. Thank you very much for listening. As usual, if you haven't already, check out the site, thefineartplaylist.com. All of our Twitter details are on there and stuff. But yeah, thank you very much for listening. Hopefully see you next week.
Yeah, peace out. Love you all.
Aren't there people somewhere else that need your help right now?
Yeah, actually there are. I should go. See you guys.
Bye, Superman! He's so nice.
Yeah, he's great.